Hey guys, it's BendyPenguin64. For those of you that don't know, I have something of an obsession with Icarus Uprising. In fact, it's my second favourite game of all time. I've acknowledged it in multiple videos and showered it with praise ever since its release, much to the annoyance of a lot of my friends. However, Icarus Uprising is not a necessarily relaxing experience. It's a very intense game when you really get into it, especially when you're playing on a high difficulty. Sometimes this is due to the level design or the boss at the end of a level, but more often than not the challenge in this game is attributed to the enemies you encounter. These things can get pretty nasty, and I felt like expressing my distaste toward them. With that said, this is the top 10 most annoying enemies in Icarus Uprising. Number 10. While its modern form may be a step down from its previous incarnations, the Eggplant Wizard is nothing short of irritating. If you encounter one, it will cast a spell that will turn you into a tropical perennial if you're caught within the blast radius. This leaves you completely defenseless with no way of attacking, so your only option is to run around in circles until the magic wears off. Like a chicken. A headless chicken. Because his head's been replaced with an eggplant. If several enemies are in the room with you, you're in big trouble, but on its own, the Eggplant Wizard isn't actually that bothersome since the spell doesn't inflict any damage. If you are alone with an Eggplant Wizard and there are no other enemies around, you really don't have anything to worry about besides wasting time. However, Eggplant Wizards rarely strike alone, so if you see one, you'll want to take it out as soon as possible, or you'll be a walking punching bag. Number 9. In a game where controlling the camera is already an issue, you'd think that an enemy like the Meringue Guy would be completely unnecessary, but that's not stopping this thing. If its eyes meet yours, there's no turning away. Not in a romantic sense, but in the sense that this enemy takes control of the game's camera and prevents you from looking in any other direction. This leaves you open to all manner of attacks from other enemies that you can't possibly anticipate, and it's just as unfair as it sounds. There is a saving grace, however. Meringue Guys can't attack you directly. They're just there to make sure that other enemies can. Like the Eggplant Wizard, a lone Meringue Guy is nothing more than a minor inconvenience, like finding gum on your shoe. But Meringue Guys don't usually travel alone, and if there are other enemies in the vicinity, it's a completely different story, like that same piece of gum coming to life and mugging you. Yeah, I'd say that's a good analogy. Number 8. Don't feel comfortable with dodging? Tough. The Stackjaw feels no pity for those who can't dodge effectively. This totem pole-like thing emits a wall of lasers that has a stupidly long range and no firing interval. This attack can only be avoided by either running around in circles, which makes you tired and leaves you defenseless, or dodging through the barrier. The latter is what I'd recommend. Assuming that you are skilled enough to dodge through the lasers at the right time, the Stackjaw doesn't seem that bad. But what about when you're fighting other enemies and there happens to be a Stackjaw in the middle of the arena? You've got to coordinate your movements perfectly so that you can fight enemies effectively and still dodge through the barrier. It's actually not as easy as it sounds, and you're very likely to get tired due to all the sudden movements you need to make. The Stackjaw alone isn't going to cause you any major problems, but it's still a pretty concerning enemy overall. Number 7. Remember how the Eggplant Wizard will handicap you but not actually provide a challenge on its own? Well, that's not how this enemy rolls. The Igniot will attack by firing a long-range laser that will petrify you for a short amount of time, leaving you with no way to defend yourself, and the laser actually will chip away at your health. This is what makes Igniot so much more threatening than Eggplant Wizards. In Eggplant form, you can still run around in order to avoid enemy attacks, but when an Igniot gets the upper hand, you're stuck like that. If an enemy attacks you while you're petrified, tough. You've got to sit there and take it. Even when it's working alone, this thing is a very concerning enemy. Fortunately, Igniots are rarely found in open areas, so there's typically somewhere for you to take cover while it's attacking. Normally I don't encourage camping, but when Igniots are on the scene, I'll make an exception. Number 6. But this envisioning of death isn't here to entertain you. If you encounter a Reaper, you want to avoid it if possible. If it locks eyes with you, it goes berserk and attacks relentlessly, kind of like a Pokemon trainer that's hopped up on too many cans of Monster. With a scythe. They do a lot of damage, have high amounts of HP, and move extremely quickly, making them a force to be reckoned with. Not only that, but they have friends. If you provoke a Reaper, it will show no hesitation in summoning its minions, the Reapets. Fortunately, they go down quite easily, but Reapers can summon them indefinitely, so don't get too comfortable. When Reapers are out and about, the best move is to stealthily walk around them, so be prepared to embrace your inner snake. Number 5. Call me a close-minded animal abuse enthusiast, but I hate bugs with a burning passion. They creep me out and I can't stand the sight of them. This makes the Magenta a living nightmare. These things have an impenetrable outer shell that will block everything you throw at it. The only way to hurt them is to strike their bellies by either angling your shots like a boss or flipping it onto its back. But watch out, because the second it finds a window of opportunity, a Magenta will roll toward you at maximum speed and deal a ton of damage. The only way to avoid this attack is by dodging around it at the exact perfect moment. If you don't time your maneuver with pinpoint accuracy, you can look forward to at least 30 IQ points worth of brain damage. Fighting these things one-on-one is bad enough, but more often than not, Magentas will invite their friends to the party. It's completely unfair and frustrating as all hell. Number 4. They say that it's not what's on the outside that counts, but what's on the inside. Clobblers are the epitome of this, but if you attack them, you're in for quite a nasty surprise. If a Clobbler is provoked, it goes into Hulk smash mode and wails on you mercilessly until your spine feels like it's been steamrolled. It's basically the forces of nature equivalent to the underworld Clubber Skull, but what makes the Clobbler particularly horrifying is the moment of realization. The first time around, there's no way of knowing that this thing is actually a bloodthirsty maniac, and considering how cute it looks when you first see one, it comes as quite a shock. And when this thing transforms, it abandons any sense of mercy it once had. It's out for blood, and yours is on the menu. Clobblers are utterly relentless when angered, and as a result are very annoying enemies. Number 3. Kid Icarus Uprising features some truly heart-wrenching moments, but none can compare to the feeling of pure betrayal when you're ambushed by a Cutie. In almost every level of the game there are treasure chests that offer all manner of wondrous goods, but not all chests are on your side. Some of them go bad, and Cuties are the ones that go as bad as you can go. If a chest sprouts legs after you walk up to it, don't expect it to give you anything other than a swift crane kick to the face. Not only is it heartbreaking to encounter a Cutie when you're desperate for aid, they do a lot of damage and will combo you to Kingdom Come if you let your guard down. Combine fatal karate skills with high amounts of HP and you have a near unstoppable killing machine. This thing is like a child-friendly version of Ed 209. The second that a treasure chest shows any sign of hostility, just run away as fast as humanly possible or your face is going to look like poorly sculpted Play-Doh. Number 2. This is when Kid Icarus Uprising gets serious. But what could be worse than anything we've seen so far? How about an enemy that kills you in one hit? I'm talking about Orns. There's no second chances with these things. If a single atom of your body so much as sweeps across the epidermis of an Orn, your arse is toast. Instant death. One hit KO. Total annihilation. But I know what you're thinking. If this thing is really that devastating, why isn't it number 1? Well, as dangerous as Orns are, they're actually very easy to avoid. They make very little effort to chase after you, so staying out of their way is actually much easier done than said. Nevertheless, if you do encounter one, don't get cocky. If you're face to face with one of these beasts in a confined area, you'll need to keep your wits about you, or you're dead as a dodo. A zombie dodo. A zombie dodo that got shot in the head so that he can't come back, that's how dead you are. Number 1. No enemy in this game has angered me more than the Eggplant Wizard's battered seafood-adoring cousin, the Tempura Wizard. While the Eggplant Wizard merely handicaps you, the Tempura Wizard doesn't wait for other enemies to finish you off. It casts a spell that will transform you into fried shrimp if you're caught within the blast radius. That's when the crap hits the fan. The Tempura Wizard will give chase until the magic wears off, and if he catches you while you're still in shrimp form, you are dead and there's nothing you can do about it. This is what really separates the Tempura Wizard from the Orn. Orns can be easily evaded if you're given enough room, but the Tempura Wizard will actively hunt you down, and don't think that keeping away from it will be easy. This thing doesn't even consider taking prisoners. It can't be bargained with, it can't be reasoned with, it doesn't feel pain or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead. The Tempura Wizard's active lust for murder accompanied by instant death upon capture easily make it the #1 most annoying enemy in Kid Icarus Uprising. So that was a very unnecessary top 10 list, but honestly I just wanted an excuse to talk about Kid Icarus again, and I stand by what I said before. Palutena for the next Super Smash Bros. With that said, thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time.